Peter saw her say something, her voice gentle and polite. The woman in the couple shook her head firmly. The woman on crutches gave a small nod, apologized, and turned away. She tried another table where a man sat alone, papers and a laptop spread across the tabletop. And then another shake of the head. Peter saw her shoulders slump. He saw the way she bit her lip, as if trying to keep the tears from spilling over. Something about the sight made his chest ache. A sharp, very real pain that was hard to name. "Dad, are you even listening to me?" Ruby's voice pulled Peter back. "Of course, sweetheart. Pumpkin ran away and—" "That was 5 minutes ago. Now I'm talking about—" But Peter's attention drifted once again. The woman on crutches was now standing in the middle of the crowded cafe, looking around with an expression that made his heart tighten. Lost. Alone. As if she were surrounded by people, yet belonged nowhere. As if she were on the verge of giving up something incredibly important. In that brief moment, their eyes met across the noisy cafe. Peter saw vulnerability in her gaze, a fragile flicker of hope, and a deep sorrow that seemed to rise from the very bottom of her soul. She took a deep breath, adjusted her crutches, and began walking toward their table. The scent of freshly roasted coffee blended with vanilla from the pastry counter. Soft indie music mingled with the low hum of conversation. Outside the window, Chicago was slowly waking under the rare early spring sunlight. "Excuse me." Her voice sounded as she reached their corner table by the window. Gentle, polite, steady, though Peter could still hear the tremor she was trying to hide beneath it. "I'm really sorry to bother you. I know this may sound strange, but would you mind if I shared this table with you? It's very crowded, and there aren't any seats left." She paused. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. "I really need to be here today. It's very important to me." Peter stood up immediately and pulled out the empty chair across from them. "Of course, please, have a seat. I'm Peter, and this is my daughter, Ruby." Relief spread across the young woman's face, like dawn breaking through storm clouds. She carefully sat down and leaned her crutches against the wall beside her. "Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm Hannah." She looked at both of them, and Peter noticed her eyes were still wet, as if it would only take the smallest reason for the tears to fall. "I asked those tables first, but they said they needed privacy. I started thinking I'd have to leave, and Her voice caught. "I really couldn't bear to leave without sitting down for a while. We're happy to share the table," Peter said warmly. "It gets really busy here when the weather's nice." Ruby, never a shy child, immediately leaned forward, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "We come here every Saturday. It's our special tradition. I always get hot chocolate with lots and lots of whipped cream, and Dad always orders boring black coffee." She scrunched up her nose at Peter's cup. "Do you like hot chocolate?" Hannah smiled. Though sadness still lingered on her face, the smile reached all the way to her eyes. "I love hot chocolate. It sounds perfect for today." A barista appeared, and Hannah ordered a coffee and a croissant. As soon as the barista walked away, Ruby launched straight back into conversation with the boundless energy only a 6-year-old could have. "I'm in 1st grade, and my teacher is Ms. Davenport. We have a hamster in class named Pumpkin because it's orange and fluffy. Do you have any pets?" "Not right now," Hannah replied, her fingers curling around her coffee cup as if trying to hold on to its warmth. "But I used to have a cat named Misty. She was gray with little white paws." "That's such a pretty name." "Sophie, my friend, taught me a Spanish word, niebla. It means fog. Her family speaks Spanish." Hannah's smile widened. "That's exactly why I named her that." Peter realized he was starting to relax. There was something about Hannah, even with the sadness she carried, the way she listened to Ruby with genuine attention. She asked about school, about Pumpkin, about Ruby's friends. She laughed at the funny parts, widened her eyes at the dramatic ones. About 15 minutes passed before Hannah gently set her coffee cup down. She looked at the two of them with an expression Peter couldn't quite name. Gratitude, mixed with something deeper, something more painful. "There's something I want to tell you," she said softly. "The reason I needed to be here today is because today is my birthday. I just turned 23. Ruby's eyes went wide with excitement. "Your birthday?" And without thinking, without asking permission, Ruby jumped to her feet and sang out loud, "Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Hannah. Happy birthday to you." Peter immediately joined in, his deeper voice blending with his daughter's high, slightly off-key, but enthusiastic singing. A few people at nearby tables turned to look. A woman smiled and joined in on the final line. An older couple across the cafe sang along as well. When the song ended, tears were streaming down Hannah's cheeks, but she was smiling through them. Peter saw something break open in her eyes, like a small crack in the armor she had been wearing for so long. "That was—" She wiped her tears with trembling fingers. "That was the most beautiful thing anyone has done for me in a very long time. Thank you. Thank you. Both of you." "Everyone deserves a birthday song," Ruby declared with absolute certainty. Then her face suddenly lit up. "Dad, we have to get her a birthday cake. You can't have a birthday without cake." "Oh no, please don't." Hannah shook her head quickly. Peter glanced toward the pastry case near the register. "The cake here is actually really good. Are you okay with it? It's your birthday." "You've already been so kind," Hannah said, her voice breaking. "I don't want to be any more trouble." "You're not a bother at all," Peter said gently. "Truly. Please let us celebrate with you." Despite Hannah's repeated protests, Peter still excused himself and walked toward the counter. A few minutes later, he returned with a small chocolate cake, topped with smooth vanilla buttercream, a single lonely candle standing in the center. As Peter leaned down to light the candle, a few people at nearby tables began to notice. Someone softly started singing, and very quickly, the entire corner of the cafe where they sat joined in a familiar melody. Hannah closed her eyes. Peter saw her lips move slightly, as if she were whispering a wish meant only for herself. Then she leaned forward and blew out the candle. A small round of applause followed, spreading through the warm space of the cafe. "All right," Ruby announced solemnly. "The birthday girl gets the first piece, and the biggest one." She carefully cut the cake with a seriousness that was almost funny, as if it were an important mission. As they shared the cake together, something subtly shifted in the air. The sweetness of the moment and the unexpected kindness from strangers seemed to open a door inside Hannah, a door she had kept tightly locked for a very long time. "This cafe," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, her eyes fixed on the plate in front of her. "This was my family's place, our Saturday morning tradition, just like yours and Ruby's." Peter's chest tightened. He glanced at Ruby, who had stopped eating her cake, her child's intuition sensing the weight in Hannah's voice. Hannah looked up, her gaze meeting Peter's. "It was me, my younger sister Paige, and my parents. We lived just a few blocks from here, in a small apartment above Myopic Books. My father was a firefighter at Station 18. My mother was a pediatric nurse at Lurie Children's Hospital." She paused. Peter saw her hand tremble around her fork. "We never had much, but Saturday mornings at Sawada Coffee, those were the happiest moments of my life. Paige always ordered strawberry waffles with extra syrup. My dad told terrible jokes that made my mom groan, but had us laughing nonstop. And my mom always secretly took a bite from everyone's plate. Hannah's voice began to shake. We sat at a table, just like this one, and during those hours, nothing else in the world mattered. Peter instinctively reached across the table and gently placed his hand over hers. What happened, Hannah? Hannah closed her eyes. A single tear slowly rolled down her cheek. 2 years ago, there was a gas leak in our building. The landlord had been warned many times about the old corroded pipes, but he always said, next month he'd fix it. Next month. And then, next month again. She took a trembling breath, her fingers tightening around Peter's hand as if it were the only lifeline she had. That night, we were all asleep. Her voice broke. The explosion. The next words were almost a whisper. I woke up in the hospital. 3 days later, the entire building had collapsed. Hannah's whole body shook. Peter could see the memories rushing back, the sounds, the smell of smoke, the sheer terror. I was trapped under concrete and steel beams for nearly 6 hours before the rescue team found me. Her voice grew softer, as if she were reliving every second. I remember the sound of twisting metal, the smell of gas, complete darkness. I called out to them, my dad, my mom, Paige, but there was only silence. Tears now streamed uncontrollably down her face. My left leg was completely crushed. The doctors said it couldn't be saved. They had to amputate it. Ruby's eyes shimmered with tears pooling at the corners. Peter squeezed Hannah's hand tighter. And then Hannah said the words Peter knew were coming, yet could never truly prepare himself to hear. My parents and Paige. Her voice shattered. They didn't make it out. They died in the collapse. Paige, she was only 14. The space around them seemed to go quiet. The hiss of the espresso machine, the laughter from other tables were still there, but distant, as if coming from another world. She wanted to be a veterinarian, Hannah continued, her voice thick with emotion. She loved every animal she ever met. She brought stray cats home, took care of injured birds until they could fly again, cried over animals killed on the roadside. She had the biggest heart I've ever known. Hannah's tears fell freely. Peter felt his own eyes burn. And my parents, they spent their entire lives saving other people. My father ran into burning buildings. My mother fought every day to save sick children. Her voice dropped to a whisper. But they couldn't save themselves. They couldn't save Paige. And they couldn't save me. Before Peter could say anything, Ruby quietly slid off her chair and walked around the table. Without a word, she wrapped her small arms tightly around Hannah. I'm really sorry about your family, Ruby said softly, with the pure empathy only a child can have. That's the saddest thing I've ever heard, but you're not alone now. We're here with you. Hannah pulled Ruby closer and broke down, sobbing into the little girl's hair. Peter stepped in, placing his hand on Hannah's shoulder, holding them together. They stayed that way for a long time. 3 people, strangers less than an hour ago, now bound together by unexpected kindness and shared loss. When Hannah finally calmed, she looked up, her eyes red and swollen. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. You don't need to apologize, Peter said firmly. Not for your pain. Never. Hannah wiped her face and took a shaky breath. I live with my aunt in Evanston now. She took me in after I was discharged and finished rehab, but it doesn't feel like home. Nothing feels like home anymore. She looked around the cafe, every table, every corner. Today is my birthday. All I wanted was to come back here, to feel close to them one more time. This is where we were happiest. I thought if I could just sit at a table in this cafe, maybe it would feel like they hadn't completely left. Hannah looked at Peter, fresh tears welling up again. But when I arrived and saw how crowded it was, I almost left. Then you said, yes? You let me sit here. You sang to me. You bought me a cake. Her voice trembled. You made me feel like I mattered, on a day when I felt completely alone in this world. You do matter, Ruby said firmly, still standing beside Hannah. And you're not alone anymore. Now you have us. Peter smiled at the purity of his daughter's heart. He thought about how, for the past 3 years, since the day his divorce from Erica had been finalized, the two of them had come to this cafe regularly.